Tai'Shar YouTube, and welcome back to Wheel Up Time. I'm here again with another reaction video for you today. I'm going to be watching the second episode of the first season of The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime Video. I already did the first episode. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave a card up here somewhere that will link to you watching it. But basically, I'm going back through the TV show. I've already seen it once. I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan, so I'm pointing out all the little details that people might have missed, little hints and links into where future plots could happen in the books, or from the books even. All sorts of little details. So yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time going over the intro. Let's get into episode 2, Shadows Waiting. Hopefully the sound should be a lot better in this one. I think I've made it so that it ducks out when I'm speaking. So if I'm speaking over loud bits, you should be able to hear me still. Also remembered to set it back to 1080p this time. So. I heard a lot of people like early on theorizing that this kid could be Oliver because he has really big ears. I thought that was so dumb because it makes zero sense whatsoever. But it's a funny thing to point out. Oh, I will say a spoiler warning probably till around book 3-ish.
Your victory today.
Just to be safe.
You always walk in the light, sir.
Shouldn't go past book 3 though, so if you've read that far, you should be absolutely fine.
Have you ever tried this?
If not, it'll probably only be light references. So if you're not planning to read the books, you shouldn't worry too much about it. So one thing about this particular scene is, oh no, that was the name of the actress, not of the character. So this Aes Sedai here, who's tied up, I believe was part of the contingency that gets sent to capture Logain, who we meet in episode 4 and in 5, and who we met some of already in the intro of the last episode. Because later in this episode, Valda mentions they sent 8 Aes Sedai or something, and I'm pretty sure there's only 7 in the camp when Moiraine gets there, so, like, it's basically like saying he took one of them out. And obviously we know that he did in this scene, so yeah, just a little thing to point out that this particular Aes Sedai may well have been part of the party that was sent to capture Logain, and it would have made sense that they'd send a yellow along with that group for any healing that's necessary. So Yellow Sisters obviously of the healing persuasion. Don't think you can heal your hands being cut off though. The question remains, how are they capturing the Aes Sedai? This is the first time we see the intro, which is beautiful. A single thread breaking, symbolizing the breaking of the world, and everything explodes. Mountains change, seas boil, and the wind threading through the looms of the pattern.
How much time?
Not enough.
His American accent bled through though.
Not enough. Not enough.
Something that they only set up a bit later in the episode is how Trollocs don't like deep water, but you can see him testing it there before they all charge across, making sure it's not too deep. They go on to explain that in a few minutes.
Well, you've woken me then.
We need to cross the Tai'Shar.
Why is this dude just like sleeping outside anyway?
My son will be here soon, and then we...
In the books they gather like a whole bunch of oarsmen, but see here the boys are just helping. At least Matt and Perrin are. Rand's just sort of stood there staring. So many of them. All as torches. That's Paddon Finn's whistle. That's the first time I've noticed it in that scene. So, the whistle you hear in the background there, I actually forgot to point it out in the first episode. But Paddon Finn has a whistle, and through the show it can be heard, which basically indicates that he's in the scene even if you can't see him. Sometimes you actually can see him, and I'll point those out when they do come up. But every time you hear that whistle, I'll rewind it just 20 seconds or so you can hear it again. Every time you hear that whistle, that means Paddon Finn's there. The peddler. There it is. Here in the background again. Very, very slightly. They also pair that with the fade a lot. Which I think is meant to throw you off the scent of Paddon Fane and make you think it's the Fade's whistle, but it's definitely Paddon Fane's whistle. You can't whistle if you got a mouth like that. I don't know if your teeth can, like, allow you to form the... You know? It's too much of way.
What are they?
Not good.
The riders of Fade.
For anyone not familiar, there's so many different names, but Fade, Eyeless, Murdral, Fetch, Lurk, there's loads of different names for them, but the most common names are Fade, Murdral, or Eyeless. And that's all that guy, you know, Voldemort with the fucked up dentist. Baron Ferry. So this is pretty much cut from the books, except the difference is that he didn't jump in. He was just like, ah no, my ferry's gone. So he didn't die, but, you know, like, the same thing happened with her sinking the ferry.
Help him, he's gone.
I think it just adds a bit more impact, but it also brings a chance for them to then discuss the oaths in one of the following scenes, without it just seeming too info dumpy.
Stop them.
So this scene is a direct reference to the books as well, and you'll notice one of these horses is already on her feet. This one's all tired. Now she gets up. The other one that she's already been to in the line stood up. This one already on its feet. Perhaps someone else already relieved it. Does it look like he's shivering there? This is the first time we see Morin's Cassiera.
And
Another scene just taken
like
straight
the
from
water
books.
of a river.
Also links back
As
to
the
that
water moves,
scene in the last episode
let it take you.
where she has to
No thoughts.
let go and
Just
embrace the
let
river.
drift. Everything.
Basically already been practicing.
There are no woods.
Egwene, no. It's alright. I understand.
There's a tenner on the dresser, call yourself an Uber. She's already got a massive woolly jacket on, but she doesn't say no. Typically Gwen. Yeah, our first look at the Dark One. Now there's a question here.
What did you see?
Bats. Their necks just snapped right in midair.
Right in midair.
Them in their hands.
Like someone had them in their hands.
I could feel the crack.
Was there anyone in?
Is that what he saw? Or did
anyone
Matt
speak to you?
also pull one out of his throat like Rand did?
Eyes
We don't actually know.
If this happens,
It's
to you,
just
tell me
something I
straight.
noticed, like,
Dreams.
either Matt saw something different and they all saw
More than
something,
you know.
maybe,
What does
slightly
that mean?
different. Or Matt was just low-key lying to Moraine because he doesn't trust her, which is perfectly on theme. So is this outburst from Rand, of course. His temper,
East
known to flare
to the
at
river
best of
crossing at
times.
Whitebridge.
Lan staying behind just to make sure. And then he'll go riding off ahead to scout before he comes back here. I do like that attention to detail of Lan always being slightly apart from them because he's either scouting ahead or behind them.
I am a lady from a fallen house. You're under my care.
As we know, Moraine can only speak truth. She is, in fact, a lady from a fallen house. Moraine Damagered, which I'm sure we'll learn more about in the second season, so I won't go into elaborate detail.
If you
Feel
would
like
be
they
so
bring it up
kind
a
as to
past.
dismount your horses.
Gia from Bornhold here.
Wars and witches don't concern us, sir. We are just hoping to find a safe place to settle for the
Because
night.
she doesn't think of her
before the
sisters
light
as
fades.
witches.
Best be on your way.
And only one war concerns
I'm
her,
sorry.
not multiple.
If you would indulge
True
here a
all
moment
to that.
longer, we have... What was the name of the town where you came from?
Tai'Shar Ferry. There were many people hurt there.
Also, not a lie, she did come from Tai'Shar
Perhaps you
Ferry,
can
that
help.
just wasn't the town that the Sherlocks took over. Doesn't want to
Good
put
job and
them
try to steer clear of the
too
ice.
close towards
When you
the
get to
dragon's
Whitebridge,
place of birth.
find one.
Or
Only one of those women
Grow
can heal
you
this
up.
one.
it sort of shows the division amongst the White Cloaks nicely, because he's taking a contingent of men from Bornhold, but Bornhold's also not denying him because they're sort of independent. The questioners are sort of independent from the rest of the children. They're not above them, but
But you lied to him. You can heal that wound.
they can get away with a lot of shit.
Not ourselves. That's why
Basically.
we usually travel together. So listen carefully.
Egwene's first lesson on the road to becoming Aes Sedai. On the field to becoming Aes Sedai. And I love the relics of the old world here. You know, that kind of looks like a motorway, a highway. I think Americans call it. I said motorway, but kind of looks like a highway, or at least an old bridge.
You walk the footsteps of our fathers, trail traced by our mothers. They bore the land with their blood.
There's a lot of foreshadowing in this scene that I'm not going to mention because it's
like in the song.
stuff about
Messages to
like
the neighbors
real
they
late
fought
on.
for in the past.
For those who've read all the books,
Somehow they
you know,
did.
pay
Against
particular
that
attention
monstrous
to this
host they
scene because
held.
there's a lot
For an
of
hour.
foreshadowing within it.
Then a second.
But I don't want to address it too deeply
Then a
for
third.
people
For
who
3
aren't
days
fully
they
in the know.
fought, and though the land, there was nothing left of their farms, their villages, or their great city.
Kind of a bit like
But
the
they
Two Rivers right
returned.
now. Perhaps a
Weak-
hint that the Two Rivers
Weak
might
for
recover
military,
just
weak
fine
for
from
what
this
is
attack.
lost forever. You'll need it in the days to come.
The sad thing is that telling that story took just the last bit of energy that meant she passed out and couldn't wake up when they went to shadow it off. If only she'd held her breath.
About what?
Come on, Rand.
What do you want?
Look at him with his big ass
You want
bottle
me to
of
just
wood,
go
and she's
back
got
to
two
where
little
everything
sticks.
was?
Like he's actually doing the job, and she's just tagging along.
You get it, right?
Got one twig now. She actually dropped one of
I'm
them.
not going to be Nynaeve's apprentice because she's dead.
I don't
And
know.
so
She's
is
still
Layla.
got two.
And I just want you to look at me.
He's worried about some witty shit,
Not
and
me.
she thinks. You hear that high-pitched sound coming again that I mentioned in the first episode? Whenever he's around the walls. Just slightly running in the background, that high-pitched, you know, like the canine frequency. That's gotta be done.
She needs sleep. You all do.
Bedtime, kids. Lights out now. And the wind here being used again to symbolise to Egwene that danger is coming. A storm is coming. Love how they did shadow.
There's no birds. There's no bugs. There's nothing.
I always like the fact that he's the first one to pick up on that. Like, he's the one who's really listening out and hearing it. Just a
She's barely breathing.
hint of his keen senses.
Touch nothing. Eat only the food you brought.
Immediately goes on a one lap. To be fair, it's kind of a creepy building. But, like, no excuse if you're just going to walk into another one. I wonder if we'll see this exact same building used later on. Not to say too much, but is the location that is returned to in the series. Those of you who haven't read too far ahead, don't worry, this wasn't just a one-shot place. The music's so fucking good. I wonder if that knife will ever come up again. Because, like, we all know that Perrin has a thing with a hammer and an axe, but...
You ever got into any trouble, it'll probably be my fault.
Well, at least anyone who's read the books does.
Although, to be perfectly honest...
I wonder if we'll ever see
Everyone
that
reasonably blame me
particular
for
knife
anything.
again in the show, used for something. Got to appreciate the little moments of friendship that we do get. There's Paladin Fern's whistle. Just as the shadows start creeping out. Where's the door open? Like, the door was already open. Could that shadow be Paladin Fern? Because it didn't look like the evil of Shadow look off to me. So I wonder if that shadow was actually Paladin Fern trying to lure Matt towards the ruby loaded dagger. Of course, he just got rid of his knife, he needs a new one. See something shiny when you're a poor guy like Matt. You immediately forget that you've just been told not to touch anything. I already know he likes stealing things. Stole that bangle.
Here! Come on!
Right here coming up is, I think, one of the first examples of the dagger actually having an effect on that. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people will have, like, taken into consideration, but he has just picked up the dagger. And it makes him more untrusting. Right now.
Hoist me up. Why don't you hoist me up? Come on.
He's mistrusting of his best friend in the whole world.
Hurry.
Asking for a hoist up first.
Hurry!
Sort of like typical Matt humor at the same time, so it's disguised. But I think that was supposed to be an indication that even after such a short time, the dagger is slightly affecting his paranoia. I actually wonder if Rand used the power here as well as he's kicking down the gate. In like one final push. There's no evidence of it, but like they never came back to it, but perhaps they were thinking about using that as one of the hints that they show in episode 7 when they're putting it all together. Like maybe originally they were thinking about using that, so they framed it in a way that it could have had effects put over the top of it again in a flashback maybe.
If you don't take me to them right now, I'll slit your throat.
She means it. I don't feel like there was a lot of minor details in that one. It's mainly the whistling that came up in that episode, but really just a lot of things straight from the books in that episode. A lot of things just done really well, I think, and high tension and pace throughout. I definitely think episode 2 was more gripping with its action sequences, maybe even than the first episode. Although I'm not too fond of the river ferry scene. Maybe it's just the actor for Master Hightower that I don't like. I don't know. It seems his acting seems acting, not like believable. But maybe it's because he's given the role of somebody who commits suicide without seeming to have any suicidal tendencies. Like, yeah. But yeah, fun episode to watch. Nynaeve obviously brought back into the fold now. Overall, I don't think I really have anything more to say on it, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to spank the like button for RJ, because you know Robert John loves spanking, and spank the sub button, because the sub button is a sub, and subs like being spanked. We have plenty of other Wheel of Time content on the channel. If you're a fan of board games, you can play Third Age online for free now through Tabletop Simulator and the Steam Workshop. That is my Wheel of Time board game, fan-made, that I designed. We have a Discord server too that you can join through the link in the description below. But that's going to be all for this reaction, guys. So thank you for tuning in, and Tai'Shar until next time.